Hey, do you know what time it is? That's right. It's time for Coach Lindy's podcast. The podcast to get you moving. Hi, I'm Lindy Hutchinson, a certified life mastery consultant with the Brave Thinking Institute. As a life coach, I help others transform their life as I have mine. It's not easy, but it is possible, and it most certainly is worth it. Each week, I'll share insights that inform, inspire, and ignite in you your desire to create a life that you love. So let's find out what's going on this week. Welcome to the podcast. So, last week we talked about Mary Tyler Moore, a modern-day suffragette who worked hard to open doors for minorities and especially women in her production company and throughout her activities and outreach participation. This week, we're going to talk about another entertainer who was smiling and pretty and all that, but was pretty edgy and made some very big changes. And that person is alive and well as of now, which is April 2026. And that person is Marlo Thomas. And for those of us of a certain age, we remember her as that girl. Yes, the scene where she's looking in the big picture window of the department store, and there's a beautiful woman in this amazing gown looking back at her, and that woman is her. And she's, anyway, as a little kid, I saw myself doing that. I said, yes, I need to be in a beautiful woman in a fabulous gown. Anyway, Marlo Thomas, she was, as you may or may not know, a part of TV royalty in the entertainment world. Her dad, Danny Thomas, was a pioneer in the early days of television. And he had many shows and he had his own company. And one of the things that I really have admiration for is that Danny Thomas in 1962 set up St. Jude's. And St. Jude is a premier research and treatment center for children. It doesn't matter what your background is, what your ethnicity is. You can go there and you will be treated. They turn no one away. And Marlo Thomas, to this day, let's see, he established it in 1962. To this day, she stays with it. She's chairman or something. I have to go through my notes. Anyway, they've done a lot of good for all these many years and continue to do so. So the word for this week, the power word for this week, I picked as unencumbered. And I thought of that because Marlo Thomas was raised in Beverly Hills. She was surrounded by the rich and the famous, and yet it didn't stop her from getting a credential from college. It didn't stop her from pioneering avenues and opening doors and creating opportunities, even though I'm sure it made her very unpopular amongst the powers that were at the time. And I think it would be so easy for someone who has a lot to just become pretty self-indulgent, and that's exactly what she was not. So if you read about her accolades, Marlo Thomas, throughout the years, she received 3 Primetime Emmys, a Daytime Emmy Award, a Golden Globe, a Peabody, and in 2014, by the then President Barack Obama, she received the Presidential Medal of Freedom. She continues to serve as the National Outreach Director at St. Jude's, which is in Memphis. She was surrounded by amazing people, amazing talent, and instead of being intimidated, though she might have been on occasion, she used this as inspiration. In her early career, she was on many, many, many different shows as a guest. And then in 1966, she became that girl, which I'm very glad that she did. And if you want something fresh and corny and fun, look for, I'm sure you can stream it or find it somewhere. It's ridiculous and cute. To me, it's a nice getaway mentally from all of the ugly, terrible things we seem to have. So some of those mindless, fun sitcoms are refreshing to me. So what she did, it says that she was the fourth woman to produce her own series. Gertrude Berg, who I'm not familiar with, Lucille Ball, who we've talked about, and Betty White, they all produced their own series. Back in 1966, this was a very big deal. And at the time, as we talked about with Mary Tyler Moore, having a single woman living alone in the city was kind of shocking. That was like a no-no. You don't do that. Well, Marlo Thomas did, and I'm sure she used a lot of her clout that she had from her family to say this is how this character is going to be. She was her Anne Marie, who was her character, was a working single woman, not living with her parents, and she was not married. She did have a boyfriend in the show. And there were several, this is kind of a shortened version. This is off of Wikipedia, so thank you, Wikipedia. It was interesting, I thought, is that in 1971, 5 years after the show began, they were shutting it down, and for the grand finale, ABC and Clairol, their sponsor, wanted to have the grand finale, the last big show. They wanted it to be where Anne Marie and Donald, her boyfriend, got married. And Marlo Thomas said no, which apparently they were not too happy about. But she said, Clairol was our sponsor, and they wanted to end the show with a wedding. And I said, I just can't do that to these women and girls who followed Anne Marie's adventure for 5 years. I can't now say that the only happy ending is a wedding, because I don't believe it. Yay. There was a big ruckus about it, but I wouldn't do it. The last show, Anne-Marie took Donald to a women's lib meeting, which made nobody happy but me. Yay. So there were people like Marlo Thomas, Mary Tyler Moore, and Gloria Steinem, who Marlo Thomas ended up working with, who really were serious about making sacrifices, who risked a lot, like losing their jobs and taking a lot of guff because they would not acquiesce. And like she said, Marlo Thomas said, she did not want young women watching this free spirit, this hardworking young woman, Anne Marie, her character, to be suddenly thinking, oh, my life is amazing now that I got married and we live happily ever after. Not that that's bad. So if you're happily married, congratulations. And if that's what you wanted, wonderful. But we just want other opportunities. And that's really what it was about. Let me check any more notes I want to share with you. For those younger folks, Marlo Thomas was in 3 series or 3 different episodes. Friends. She was Rachel Green's mother, Sandra Green. And she was saying that Marlo Thomas compared Rachel as that girl of the late 1990s and early 2000s. So you can see how far they had come. Marlo Thomas has a long list of books, best-selling books, activities, involvements, and she has made a very big difference in the world. And with her being the National Outreach Director of St. Jude's. She continues to work hard at almost 90 years old. So kudos to Marlo Thomas. You see her on the screen and she's smiling and she's a very pretty lady. But yeah, our Train Your Brain thought is, Marlo, that girl done good. So thank you, Marlo Thomas. And our Hey That's Funny filed a little snarky remark from none other than the late great Carrie Fisher, who said, instant gratification just takes too long. Very funny lady, and she is dearly missed. So my friends, thank you for joining me. Remember, keep looking, keep reading, keep paying attention, and keep building a life that you love, and keep developing your vision and following your vision, bringing it into full fruition, because you deserve it. Have a great week, and I will look forward to seeing you again very soon. Take care. Hey, thanks for joining me this week. I look forward to being with you every week. And if you'd like to get in touch with me, please email me at coachlindy@lindyhutchinson.com. My name is spelled Lyndi, so it's Coach Lindy, Lyndi, at Lindy Hutchinson, LYNDIHUTCHINSON.com. I value what your input is, and I'm always open for suggestions and ideas. If you will like and or subscribe to this podcast, that would be wonderful. I appreciate it. And I enjoy anything that you might want to send in, or if you would like some more information about coaching, send me an email and I will get back with you, and we'll talk about how you can create your best life. Have a good week. We'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.